Good evening, everyone. I know it's a little earlier than 8 o'clock Central Time, but myself and most of the people that I invited on have already come in. There's no articles tonight. It's just going to basically be an introduction and a semi freeform discussion on the red, blue, and black pill mindsets. Going to give everyone a chance to describe where they got to the point they're at and how they came to the conclusions they came to. First one to jump in, and this is going in no particular order, is MGTOW Outlaw. Welcome to the stream,
Hello.
sir, and thank you for joining me for this train wreck that it's probably going to end up being.
Absolutely. Thank you for
Do you
having
have
me,
any
brother.
initial comments before I bring the others on?
Not much. Not much. Just glad to be here, man. Appreciate you having me, and let's get it.
Okay. Next up is Crusader Nate, our resident 30-pound brain and a 10-pound sack.
What's going on? Just living the
Do
dream
you,
here.
do you have any initial thoughts you'd like to bring into this, or
Well, I guess we could look at this in a multitude of ways. We all take different perspectives on things at different points and times in our lives, even including daily. So, this is a complex topic and subject, but something worth talking about.
okay? And Sean St. George, last member of the panel that's come in so far tonight.
Hello, hello.
And
How are
welcome
you
to
all
the party.
gentlemen
Do you have
doing?
any initial comments you'd like to make?
Um, no, because I am still learning about this. Um, Coming from somebody who was blue pilled for such a long time, I'm still learning new things every day about the red pill part of the internet and the little community or many communities that have sprouted out because of it.
Okay, that's completely understandable. Well, I'm going to give my brief intro to where I originated with the whole red pill, blue pill, black pill thing, my thoughts about the topic, and then we'll just go around the table and see where the conversation goes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I I initially got quote unquote red pilled back when I was in high school. I was very much interested in science fiction even back then, and I started watching a TV show called The X Files, and was of the opinion that half of the stuff on that show was absolute garbage and could not be real. The internet was just in its infancy, so I was able to start doing some research, and my mind was semi blown when I realized, oh, this is real. So I was like, that that's interesting, and I started doing more digging, doing more research, and it got me to the point where I realized that half of the stuff I've been told over the course of my life was either a bald faced lie or just inaccurate. After my most recent relationship debacle, I got to the point where when it comes to dating, I'm on the edge of black pill because I've gotten to the point where I'm like, why bother? But that's where I'm at this point. Outlaw, do you want to go ahead and go next on your journey to where you're at?
So my red pilling came in many different directions. When I was a lot younger, I'd say probably before I got into my teenage years, I started seeing a lot of double standards that were becoming glaringly obvious in our culture that people didn't want to talk about. Like for instance, if you have a sister and you're a guy and you play fought and you punched her and they'd get mad at you. Everything was always your fault because you were stronger. So I always seen the glaring double standards even when I was younger. And then of course, when you're told the truth about Santa Claus, and if you're religious, if you're told the truth about all that. So I had red pill moments throughout my journey growing up, and then when I got out of high school, one thing that always stuck with me about the whole education system was that the victors write the history. And that's one thing that one of my teachers taught me in school that I never forgot, was that basically everything you were taught was to be questioned at all times. You don't take anything at face value that people say all the time. You learn to question everything. So I took that with me from high school, and I was first introduced to the internet after high school. I never had internet till I got into my early 20s. And when I started diving into religion and politics, that was where a lot of my red pilling come from. And then for years, I stayed bitter about the fact that I was lied to. How could people just take advantage of you, like this and lie? And then I figured it out that they've been lied to as well. And everybody else has been lied to about this stuff. And then I figured it out that it was programming. So the MGTOW side of it, the red pill side of it, came years after that with the introduction of red pill philosophy with MGTOW 101, James Von Maxwell, Hammerhand, Turd Flinging Monkey. So all these guys, started teaching me about the female and the female nature side of it. But of course, if you understand red pill, it's a very broad spectrum of a lot of topics that just goes way well past female nature. So I found this community, and the female side of it started making a lot more sense. But I took a chance, and I had absorbed a lot of knowledge over the years. Finally decided to take a chance and make my own content, and here we are. But the moment that really got me into MGTOW was my brother. So he got divorced from his wife, but what was so bad about it was the fact that the children, not only the mom turned on my brother, but the children was turned against him through propaganda and lies. And then, of course, I had a lot of family members who would marry, get divorced. So I had seen a lot of examples well before I ever got out of high school of what marriage could be. I've seen a lot of people in my church getting divorced. And I just did the research, and, here we are. And I'm trying to help other men to see the light that, you've been lied to. And I take Pop's approach, if I save one life, it's all been worth it. And yeah, here we are.
Okay, Sean St. George, you want to give your background on how you got to where you're at?
Yeah, sure. I think I was more politically or culturally red pilled before I learned about the relationship side of it. And it mainly started during the 2016 election cycle because really I'd never paid way too much attention to politics. But then I'm starting to see everything come out of it, like all the blatant lying, the protesting, well, quote unquote protesting, more like closer to insurrection than it is a protest. Because people were angry with Trump being elected, and then started paying attention to political commentators, started realizing the media has been lying about things, and went further down the rabbit hole after that. Relationship wise, I think it wasn't until my last ex a couple years ago I started realizing that there's a relationship side to red pill, and I started learning about it. And when I started learning about it, a lot of things began to make sense afterwards.
Okay. Crusader Nate, would you like to go ahead and give cliff notes on your background for this?
I guess the easiest way to put it in the Cliff Notes version. Ever since I can remember, I've always seen and looked at everything differently. I would never trust anything. But in the words of Socrates, all I know is that I know nothing. And I was always compelled to learn and to study more. And I never took anything at face value. So I guess you can say I was never like blue pilled, or I never had kind of a white pilled phase of life where I thought everything's going to be great, everything's going to be grand. I never had that mindset or that outlook. I was always that kid that would take apart everything to try to figure out how it worked, and I never trusted anybody. So I've been around this stuff and around this mindset and way of thinking as long as I can remember. So for me to actually see that there's a community around this and see that there's a subculture devoted to this new perspective on things is something refreshing, I guess, for me.
Okay.
I really don't know how to put it into words. I mean, I've probably had I've had successful approaches in relationships. I just have had most of them end in bad situations for me. So I basically checked out of dating and everything greater than 15 years ago, probably close to 20. So, and I never looked back at it. So,
Okay.
kind of always had that approach.
So I think from here we can go ahead and circle into what each of the different mindsets are and where they actually kind of interact with things, not just in the romantic side of the house, but also in interactions with government and people in general. If you all think that's a good place to start.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, I think just doing a basic cliff notes of what is a red pill, what is a blue pill, what is a white pill, what is a black pill. Just kind of
Okay.
make sure everybody's on the same page. Would be a good start.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I'm going to start with this thought, and feel free to let me know. In my opinion, everyone starts out essentially in a blue pill state with very limited exceptions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
I could
for
agree
me,
with that.
blue pill is essentially the Disney mindset.
Yeah.
In the case of the ladies, it's the waiting for your prince to come to sweep you off your feet and take you to your castle. For guys, it's the belief that you will have what's the word I'm looking for? A way to get you'll be able to earn what you get out or put into life back. Do the right thing, you'll get repaid. If you don't do the right thing, you'll eventually get what you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But I know in my case, I learned the hard way early on. That's not the truth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Am I safe in assuming that most of you agree with that particular stance on this?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think you hit it on the head.
Yeah, because if we got what work we put in and got the results that we were expecting under, the Disney sphere of influence, we'd all be well off right now. Have need not worry for anything because of how long we've been working. But some of us have hit square one many times on the way to
Yeah.
where we're at now.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Okay, so moving on from the blue pill, in my opinion, the next evolution is the red pill mindset,
Yeah.
which is where you kind of acknowledge that there is stuff going on that shouldn't be going on. In
Well,
relationships, it can turn into a red pill rage. In
Yeah.
in interactions with the government, it's an automatic distrust of pretty much everything you're told by the powers that be until you have
Mhm.
evidence to the contrary. And in your dealings with other people, it's one of these things where you trust them, but you confirm what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say you're fairly close on that. I would say more the blue pill is you see what's on the stage, the act presented to you, and the red pill is the one where the backdrops and all the protections are removed so you can see the back scaffolding, you can see the people behind the stage making the act on stage presentable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said when I was doing my intro, the red pill encompasses so many different topics. And like Nate said, it's just the inner workings or the skeleton of a lot of this stuff that's exposed, that once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with wrestling, when people were first exposed to how wrestling actually works and that it's scripted and a lot of it's fake, it lost its charm. For me, I think the blue pill is like you said, it's like a magic fairy tale. It's the wool pulled over people's eyes.
Yeah.
It's people's imagination that you're promised all this stuff, and then the red pill is the inner workings of how things actually work, and it's something you can't unsee at that point. You see it everywhere. After I became exposed to the red pill, I see it in everything now. It's like, oh my God, how did I miss this as a kid? A lot of it's just common sense.
I
Well,
can agree with that.
I would say an easy way to describe the red pill philosophy and mindset is much like you may or may not have had an idealized point of view of working at a certain place, or let's say of magic. You saw a magician do a trick. Then once you actually saw how the trick was done, you can't watch that same trick. You can't go to that same place you idolized as a kid. You kind of lost that idealized image or that innocence prior to gaining the knowledge. But once you've gained that knowledge, you look at everything completely differently and question the legitimacy of what you're actually seeing out there.
Yeah, because the magic is literally gone now.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, something else I would say that kind of tags on to that. The first election I was able to vote in was Bush Jr.'s first election back in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And looking back at it now, there's no way he should have actually won. And the numbers were not in his favor.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a political red pilling for me, that things aren't quite what they seem.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this last election kind of illuminated that even further.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
cemented that for a lot more people.
No, because
Yeah,
it was
I
so
remember.
blatant this time around.
Yeah.
We'll,
I remember
we'll,
that happening.
we'll see another interesting thing about this. There's a lot of things that they do that they don't show you. Like, for instance, there was a lot of these voter machines put on trial. These people that fixed the voting machines put on trial that was never brought to the mainstream public. You had at one time on YouTube, you could freely search this stuff up and see a lot of this stuff for what it was before YouTube did the scrub, as I like to call it, from the internet. There's been voter fraud for a long time. One of the easy red pills for me that was easy was they tell you what they want you to know. They don't
Right.
just give you all the information out there up front. They paint these news stories in a way, they guide people's eyes to see this or that, and they white lie to people. Well, they out and out lie to people.
Yeah.
So there's very easily information withheld from people in a lot of this stuff, and that's a lot of what red pilling is. It's the gaps filled in with the information that was lost. That, oh, well, now it makes sense.
Yeah. I remember seeing a lot of things. I'm a little older than the rest of you guys, but I remember seeing a lot of things as a kid where I would see the news anchors say one thing on television and then see something completely opposite in real life. So it's definitely something that I would say it's a rite of passage. It's a learned or acquired taste throughout life, where you're able to kind of see through the smoke and mirrors that they put up in front of you. And everybody crosses that line at different points in time for different reasons within their life. And that's kind of a very hard pill to swallow. That's something very, very many people have a difficult time with realizing what they were taught throughout their life was actually wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
And
leads
I would
to
say
the red pill rage stage.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's touch on the red pill rage after we've gone over the black pill a little bit, because I think that's the point where a lot of people get get this community in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right about that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and move on to black pill
Mm-hmm.
and our thoughts on that one. And this is simply my take on it. Um, red black pill is when you've gotten to the point where you're not ready to necessarily give up on life, but you've gotten to the point where you're highly nihilistic and do not trust anything or anyone around you.
Mm-hmm.
You're literally looking for the lie in everything somebody tells you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. However, I just want to make a little modification on that if I could.
Yeah,
It's
go ahead.
more of not just a nihilistic outlook on life, but it's more of a pessimistic, nihilistic outlook on life,
Mm-hmm.
because you're directly focused on the negative, on the bad outcome. That, as a wise man once told me, the black pill would be, or the nihilistic or the pessimistic look at life is your glass is half empty.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people can look at that glass half full, glass half empty. You're either optimistic, positive outlook, which would be your white pill, and then your nihilistic, defeatist, negative outlook on life would be your black pill.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would say when you become more aware of things, harking back to the red pill, that's when you gather the mindset of thinking, at least I have a glass.
Yeah.
Not the glass is half empty or half full, but you have a glass.
I got a
It is
glass.
Yeah.
it's a different perspective on things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I think black pill has always been described to me as the doom and gloom attitude towards
Mm-hmm.
life. That's all you
Yeah.
see is doom and gloom and everywhere. Like the what is it? The crazy guy in the street saying the end is nigh or the sky is falling.
Right.
Or the commentator that they bring onto news organizations whenever anything's going on. That's all about this is the end of the world as we know it. We have to stop what's coming before it gets any worse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean Keith Olbermann?
I've always viewed the black pill, yeah, like you guys are saying, nihilism and defeatism. To me, black pill has always been people who have reached the red pill phase in their life, and then they went a step further and be like, oh, well, now I've figured a lot of things out. Where do we go from here? You know, it's like a dead end to me. The black pill to me is like a dead end. Um, you know, it's people who at this point in their life they know about as much as the red pillars themselves do, but they've in their mind taken it a step further and they're like, okay, well, there's no solutions we can see out of this. How can we stop all this from happening? And for most people, I think that they're stuck, right? You know, they want to remain optimistic, but they don't know a logical way out of a lot of this stuff. So they just stay in that hopelessness, nihilistic, you know, oh, we're just defeated. We're waiting for the end type thing. So to me, it's a step further after you've become red pill that a lot of people unfortunately take that, you know, doesn't lead to anything good. You know, and it's just like, go ahead.
Although I want to challenge you on that. I wouldn't say that the
go ahead.
black pill is a step further than the red pill. What I would say is you can step either directly forward or slightly to the right or slightly to the left or a little further to the right or a little further to the left.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that you have an additional step past you. You can step one of four ways. And when it comes to the black pill step, it's more of a why should I even bother? Because no matter what I do, it's going to fail and suck anyway.
Yeah,
It's kind of the defeatist mindset.
It is.
They're not even willing to take the step forward.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
honestly, I know a lot of people who are in that particular stage when it comes to careers and even finding employment in the first place.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because there are a lot of people I personally know who they're talented individuals, they're incredibly smart, but they have zero ambition. And
Well,
it's not because they don't want to work. It's because
Mhm.
they've gotten to the point where they've applied so often at things that fit their skill set
yeah.
Mhm.
that they don't get anywhere.
Well, I would say the black pill would align with that. And those are the people that understand that there's a thumb on the scale that is
Mhm.
manipulating it against them.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when you have different people, when you have certain demographics being favored when it comes to employment, and then you disenfranchise another group of individuals just to pad a diversity mindset or an inclusion outlook and try to present the facade to society that you are inclusive and diverse and you're chasing after a nebulous term that in the long run doesn't necessarily improve or advance the business or what you're
Mhm.
or the line of work you're doing. And yeah, there are a lot of people that they come in with a background, they're only a one-dimensional character. They know one thing very well, they're a specialist in that field, and they've never done anything outside of that. And they need to start to diversify who they are and what they know and their base of knowledge of things in the world. And they
Yeah.
need to be able to go and push outside of their comfort zone, which is difficult for people to do. God knows that I've been in many situations myself where I've had to do that. And you have to rely on different skill sets that you have. I know in my former line of work, I don't fit the demographic of the people they want to put in that line of work. So I've had to
Mhm.
fall back on other things. Uh, so I understand that from lived experiences as well as watching other
Yeah.
people go through it.
Well, the reason that I said what I did was my way of thinking, and you guys feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I don't necessarily think you can be black pilled until you've had an experience with red pilling of some sort. Now I could be wrong on that, but I don't see a whole lot of reasons for people to be nihilistic unless they've experienced some sort of a lived in experience that's red pilled them to the point to where they figured out that they're being fucked with and that it's leading them to this conclusion that they're drawing at the moment. But yeah, I mean, maybe
Let,
I'm
Well,
wrong.
hang on,
I'm not.
let me offer an alternative on that real quick.
Okay.
Um, you, like I said earlier, I think for 90% of people, you start out in the blue pill mindset.
Mm-hmm.
There's a possibility, in my opinion, that you can start out in that mindset and then have something happen that is so damaging to you psychologically that it automatically shotguns you straight into black pill.
Yeah.
And it is
Yeah,
possible to go from black pill back to red pill, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
But once
I
you've
th-
left blue pill, you're out of that universe.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
think an example of that would be normies who get canceled
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because they go
Mm-hmm.
straight from blue pill contentment to they say something online or something in their community that the screaming loud ones scream loud and far,
right.
and it has consequences for that person. They lose their job, they lose relationships, they lose
Mm-hmm.
their home or whatnot. Things like that can just throw somebody straight into the downward spiral where they completely skipped over red pill. Now they're in black because the world is out to get them, and hopefully they don't
Mm-hmm.
do something stupid like release themselves from their oxygen addiction,
Right.
Yeah.
and hopefully they go, okay, this happened. Now they discover why it happened, and then they revert to red.
Well,
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
can I throw out a little uh, challenge on to you guys on this? I wouldn't say that people
Yeah.
by default start off as blue pilled.
Okay.
I
Mm-hmm.
would say that more people start off as blank slates on that.
Mm-hmm.
However, due to social conditioning, family, friends, culture, local demographics you belong to, you are conditioned to become part of the blue pill mindset.
Yeah.
Because there are some people that start that way and they want to belong, they want to fit in, which is an innate human drive to want to belong to a group to survive. And that's where the blue pilling of society occurs. Is the longer you take that blue pill, the easier it is, the simpler it is to take it, the more comfortable it is to take it. So, and then at one point in time, something in your life violently switches your blue pill to a black pill, which raises your awareness and realizes that the world isn't what it was explained to you or shown to you as, which then some people say, okay, I want to look at this, I want to understand this, and that's where the red pill comes in, versus those that become nihilistic and defeatist in mindset, and they stick with the black pill that they were dosed with.
I would say that's
Yeah,
fair.
but that leads down to the downward spiral of depression,
Right.
mental illness, addictions.
Right.
And we all know where that inevitably leads up to. You're gonna pass away either later or sooner than expected.
Right. Either
But you're
leads to
gonna
the
be
self-checkout
miserable
line or
throughout the
somewhere
rest
else.
of that life.
Yeah.
Or you'll end up doing something that is absolutely insane and ruining any chance of fixing your life.
True.
Yep.
Which I'd say this is a good point to segue into the so-called red pill rage. Would you all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so my understanding on red pill rage has always been, and this is specifically when it comes to relationships, because I haven't observed this with people who get red pilled for any of the other spheres of influence that this thought process can come across.
Okay.
You're in a relationship. It's going good. Or at least you think it's going good. No major issues, no major complaints on your end. And all of a sudden, you get slapped upside the head with the I'm not happy, or just
Yeah.
leaving the relationship with no warning whatsoever. And you are forced to reevaluate everything you're dealing with. That can get people to a point where they are extraordinarily angry.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, 'cause
I would
once the veil-
strongly associate the red pill rage more along the lines of the panic phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, everybody lied to me. Everything I thought was true was completely false. Why the hell did everybody lie to me? And I'd say that is kind of the foundation of the red pill rage moment. Some go through it, some don't.
Yeah, because having your worldview just flipped upside down,
Yeah.
it is psychologically traumatizing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's taking everything that you've known at that point as a comfortable lie, and it's like Sean said, it's flipped you for a loop. I mean, it's like the rug's been ripped out from under you. Now
Exactly.
you're trying to reestablish, stability, and trying to pick up the pieces and put it back together. It's trying to put the pieces together in your mind that's broken back together. These things make sense. Well, why is my mind still trying to tell me this lie is the truth? So it's an inner war within the self that people go through, and like Nate said, some people probably won't, but yeah, that to me that's what it is.
Well, would you all agree it's kind of like an overcorrecting on a vehicle? For example, or for this analogy, you're driving down a highway in the middle of winter, and all of a sudden you hit a patch of black ice. You lose control of the vehicle. Intellectually, you know that all you need to do is let off the gas and turn into the skid to regain control. But you get caught in the emotion, and all of a sudden you are overcorrecting, and next thing you know, you're in a ditch.
I don't know if I'd
I think I would say, if we're going to use a car analogy, road rage.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that fits red pill rage better because you are angry. Obviously, you're angry, and that anger can have an effect like with other people on the road. Either you're speeding down or you're doing something stupid, being an obstruction and a danger to other drivers. Same thing can happen when you are in the red pill rage stage, I assume. I think I completely skipped that. So if I'm wrong, let me know. But you're you become that angry person that nobody wants to be around. It's destroying your relationships. It's kind of like a precursor to black pill. I think black pill is like maybe a permanent or a more um, solidified stage of red pill rage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say associating the red pill rage with like road rage, because as long as that person that instigated the road rage is around you, you're going to be spun up, you're going to be riled up. But as soon as they're away from you, you can return to who you were previously. Um, and I would say that you're never fully red pill, blue pill, black pill, white pill. You're never definitively in one spot or another. I would say there's more of a gradient depending on situations you find yourself in on a minute by minute, hour by hour, or day by day basis. Because we're always going to be fluctuating among those different avenues and ways of thinking. But the red pill rage I would definitely put in a category very similar to a road rage scenario.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how long it's going to last. It wasn't brought on by you. Somebody else instigated it and rocked your boat.
Okay.
And you just want to get back to the stage.
Calliope in the chats brought up in my opinion, an interesting point about this. That one of the ironic consequences is that sometimes the red pill rage can be just as negative and damaging as feminism. Again,
Yes.
can be, not necessarily.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, when I use the term red pill, I look at it as kind of more of, well, do a little education here. The word apocalypse is an ancient Greek term, which means awakening, which I would definitely put the red pill in that. It's more of an awakening moment. You're seeing the world you think you knew as it's not what it really is. So when you experience that, there's kind of a shock to realize that you think everybody's lied to you.
Mm-hmm.
And like much like feminism has its own perspectives and its own group that it benefits. The red pill community is more of a community of people who have decided, you know what, I don't like playing the game. I want to go and learn things. I want to find like-minded people that are open-minded enough to discuss things and learn and explore. We don't care about an agenda. We are not looking to benefit one group over another. We're benefiting from knowledge. That's a huge difference.
That falls into the MGTOW philosophy, from what I understand of it. Which honestly, I really wasn't planning to go there, but we may as well go ahead and touch on it since you opened the door.
Well, I don't want to.
Part of it, or I keep hearing people say it's adjacent to.
No. And I would love to debate or discuss that with people because if you look at just the basic fundamentals, feminism is founded on and based on preferential treatment of women above and beyond all others. What the MGTOW movement is, and it's exactly that. There is no leader of it. The leader of men going their own way is each individual man. Each individual man has his reasons for going his own way. There isn't a group leader for this. It's a group of guys that have a similar philosophy of saying, hey, you know what? I just don't want to play a rigged game anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people who don't want to go to casinos and gamble. Are they anti-gambling? No, they just they want to keep what they have and not risk losing it. There's nothing
It's kind
wrong
of
with that.
it's
If
kind of the same
if the
reason.
game is not going to be fair to play, why are we
Right.
playing it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of the same reason why I'm an avid war gamer, and at the beginning of the previous edition of the game Warhammer 40,000, I dropped out because the way they were doing certain things with the rules was turning it from a make one purchase, play through the entire edition, only adding when you think you need to something where it was more like what they do for some card games, and you have to buy every couple of months. I dropped out of it because I wasn't going to play that type of game.
well, if you look at it, feminism wants to be able to control and regulate how, where, what, and why, and when certain rules are played and enabled. The men going their own way movement are basically saying, hey, let's agree on the definitions, let's agree on the relationship, let's agree on the terms up front, and not change them at a whim or at a moment's notice without openly discussing it. If you want to change things on a whim, I'm not going to play with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the debate argument that I like to use with people when I'm talking to somebody who I know is specifically, this is with leftists, but there are some conservatives that I have to do this with as well. I straight up tell them, look, we need to get a dictionary out and establish the definition of the words we're going to use before we go further, because we're not playing this game where you say something that means one thing 1 minute, and now it is something completely different when I destroy your argument.
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
see that a lot with leftists who try to debate moderates or conservatives. Um, I would say anytime anybody in the Sam Cedar production tries to go on Timcast, because they just had one, was it on Friday, do it. Um, whatever is said, they change the definition or the rules of the conversation when it's not even their show or their venue to
Right.
suit their own need, or to do things like create a soundbite or create gotcha moments, things
Yeah.
like that. Which
Yeah.
is why I was really surprised that he didn't just flip out on them and be like, cut the
Mm-hmm.
shit out.
Yeah. And that's how I would put the analogy of what the men going their own way, quote unquote, the red pill community is compared to like feminism. I wouldn't say they're adjacent. I wouldn't say they're similar. I would say that they're two different mindsets and outlooks on life, driven and motivated. One is groupthink, social pressure related, and the other one is individualistic and more based on an individual's perspective, passions, and experiences.
I can
Mm-hmm.
agree with that.
Well, I'm not.
Not wrong,
I'm not a fan of debates. Never have been, because from my experience and what I've seen with people over the years on YouTube and on TV, debates, in my opinion, always set up a winner and a loser.
Hmm.
And I've always tried to approach debating as learn something from everybody there. Debates, it's dishonest. You get crowds against one another. It's to me,
It's
that's
not a
just not a
conversation.
right.
Yeah.
And
Conversation allows you to talk back and forth between, hey, this is my perspective, here are my points, and you go, this is my perspective, these are my points.
Right.
Let's find
and
similarities, let's find
Right.
differences.
yep.
Maybe we'll change a mind or two, maybe we won't.
See, that's a
But
classical debate right there that you're describing.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes from the premise that you don't throw away people just because one thing is something you disagree with them over. people have arrived at different conclusions for different reasons. There's no reason to throw away a person that's 90% in agreement with you and like 10% wrong. So
Right.
debating to me is never, I don't care for those types of things.
And that's
Dishonest.
part of why this show's format is a conversation format, not a debate format. Because I could easily go on to a couple of different things on Facebook and on YouTube and invite people on who are diametrically opposed and turn this
Yeah.
into a complete drama fest. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Because what
No,
happens?
nobody likes that.
Because what happens typically in these debates when you have one side that's trying to prove something over the other and you get the crowd behind them, if they get any little thing that they can use to get over on you, that's it. People lose their minds. All they're focused on is trying to get that one thing over you and rub it in your face. And it's just like, nah, that's not.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the one part that I like about our community is we all come from different backgrounds. We still have a kernel of truth that we can all identify with.
Mm-hmm.
We've all made it to this point in some way, shape, or form, not all the same way, and we're all headed in different directions, but we're all here at this point in time for now. And we're all learning and advancing from one another. And I think having that open discussion and having that open-minded mindset, which I would link more open-mindedness to being on that red pill aspect and more closed-minded on the blue pill of you're just becoming a drone, following orders, doing what you're told, not asking questions. While the red pill is you're seeing the wizard behind the curtain and you're wondering what's going on and you're thinking for yourself. And you've basically found the red pill community as people thinking for themselves, willing to help others think for themselves.
Okay. I want to bring up this thought real quick because of what you just said. Blue pill community, and this is strictly my opinion. This is not meant to be a statement on the entire community, and it's not an ad hominem. It's my opinion based on observation. Blue pill thinking is a lot like a herd of sheep or a hive of bees or ants. They're all going the same way to perform the same function. Yeah, there's a few of them that'll have different functions within the group, but they all are moving in the same direction. Red pillars are the individuals in those groups that peel off because they see something over there that they want to take a look at or that they see as a threat. They're the ones who are independent thinkers who, in military settings, they don't do terribly well because they don't do terribly well because they don't just turn
Because
off
they're
the
not a
part-
drone anymore.
Exactly. They don't turn off the part of their brain that allows them to see outside the box.
Yep.
Right.
And black pillars are the ones who they haven't given up on life per se, but they aren't entirely inclined to fight for things around them until it directly impacts them.
Well, using the box analogy, the blue pillars are the ones who think, live, and work and operate within the box.
Okay.
The black pillars understand they're in a box, but think it's a futile effort. It's not even worth the effort to get out of the box. The red pill understands that everybody's in the box, and the red pill mindset makes people think, okay, I'm in this box. There has to be a way out. There's got to be something outside this box. It's not that I'm stuck here. There's got to be a way out, because if I'm in a box, there is an outside of the box, not just an inside. It's a completely different mindset.
I think Calliope brings up a good point, which I have on screen currently, where people tend to question that which they don't wish to be true, but we need to question everything, even what we want to be true.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm reasonably sure that kind of fits along with President Reagan's old statement about trust but verify.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, just like the scientific method that everybody likes to speak so highly about.
Right.
You may have something that is a fact for, let's say, 100, 200 years, until the one variable nobody ever knew existed comes in and
Right.
throws it into question. Let's say, like Einstein's theory of relativity.
Mm-hmm.
It's been the standard of how it explains a lot of our physics for what, about 100 years, almost 100 years now.
About that.
What if we make a discovery where we now have to input new um, new variables into the formula?
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
It's not
much
we're
like
a science denier, we are evolving the formula, or,
right.
or we're
Well, Sean,
evolving the understanding.
you bring up a very wonderful point, because most people are understanding of a three-dimensional world. However, there's a fourth dimension that very few people consider even taking into perspective on the three dimensions that affect all three dimensions, and that fourth dimension is time.
Yes.
And when you understand, and that's like the four-dimensional thinker is the red pill person, because they understand that time is an additional dimension that enhances dimensions 1 through 3.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that always used to get me in trouble in the Army. I used to regularly tell people that they need to stop wasting resources when they were wasting time.
Yes.
And there were certain NCOs I worked with that I would say that one time, and you would see a light go off behind their eyes. And they'd be like, wow, that is really worth actually talking about and thinking about and planning around. And others, usually the more arrogant ones that I'm pretty sure would have got someone killed, were like, yeah, just shut up, do what you're told, and stay out of my line of sight.
Well,
Lord.
I've had the benefit of working.
Those are the NCOs you. I would hate to say, but you use administrative violence to get them out of your way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it
If you
is what
can't.
it is.
Well, I've had the benefit of, I've never been in the military, but I've had the benefit of being around a lot of, high speed guys that have been. And I would say when it comes to the personality types of people who become the high speed SF guys that go and do the crazy stuff, most of those, if you look at it, most people think those guys that do that are the alpha male types. They're not. Your alpha male types are your guys that go become your NCOs. Those are the guys that get, climb up the ladder to be the NCO in the regular stuff, go in the reserves, do that, go become an officer. Those are your alpha male types. And everybody talks about the alpha and the beta. The one that everybody seems to completely neglect mentioning are the sigma male types. The ones who go their own way, do their own thing, think for themselves, question everything. I've been around a lot of SF guys, and the guys that I do know that have been, through the ringer of that, I would say 90 to 95% of those guys are all the sigma male mind types. They are the ones that you can give them an order, you can give them directions. They'll take that as an advisement or a suggestion. That's
You can get away
just-
with that in the SF community, though. On the regular side, no. You've got to be a drone, more or less. Because in the SF community, creativity, initiative, acting in the absence of orders, things that they say they want the regulars to do, it is expected out of all the member of us. Oh my god, I almost said SEAL team, but same thing.
Yeah.
An SF team is, these are the people who go into unconventional circumstances. I mean, there's a reason why they are used as unconventional warfare. Because conventional warfare has like SOPs, battle drills, things that, your whatever situation there is a manual on it. The Green Berets, they do something entirely different, and that's where those Sigma attitudes probably shine better.
Oh yeah. And when you get to the, I would say, like the conventional forces, the conventional mindset, you tell them there's a 50-50 chance pass or fail. Now, when you get to the SF guys, the high speed guys like that, you tell them there's a 90% chance of failure, and they look at you with a smirk and say, "So there's a 10% chance I'm going to make it."
Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
The Jerry line and Dumber and Dumber. So there's a
Well,
Yeah.
chance.
Exactly.
Okay,
And that's the mindset.
I'm going to go ahead and say this. Some of the scariest people I've ever met are the ones who failed SF by a millimeter
Yeah.
because they knew they could have made it, but they just didn't push themselves that little extra bit.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a reason why it's called selection. You
Mhm.
can be
Right.
the most physically fit, the most army smart person, but you will not get
Mhm.
selected because you don't have mindset that they want in their group.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the guys that have that Sigma male mindset, that Sigma individual mindset, once it's like with the red pill community, you know how you can spot a red pillar in society because
Mhm.
you have that mindset. You know what to look for. If
Yeah.
you're not part of that community, you don't know what to look for. You don't see it, and that's I would create the analogy that more the red pill community is that SF outside of the normie mindset community. It's the people who know how to spot each other, can think for themselves, can work for themselves, can be independent thinkers, but can also build a coalition of like-minded individuals that are open-minded.
Yep. And Calliope, she says we're all works in progress. I agree. That's why I've always
Yep.
lived by the good teacher is a good student analogy.
Mhm.
We're all on a journey. We're all learning. You know, there'll never come a point to where you know it all. You can't know it all. Like Sean said a while ago, you know, science is constantly evolving. Our environment's constantly evolving. Your red pill awareness is constantly evolving. So, you know, you have to approach this with a mindset to be able to learn from anybody and everybody, because we've all got something to teach each other, you know, and that's a
See,
red pill moment.
and that
Yeah.
actually reminds me of something that I ran into back when I was in high school. My favorite teacher in that high school was my history teacher because she didn't just teach history. She also wanted us to understand how history interacted with current events. She had an assignment that was a constant update every week. Every student had to watch at least 30 minutes of local and national news over the course of the week and write down their takeaways on Friday of the what they thought the most interesting current events were.
Mhm.
No.
I ended up finding something that this is back in 2000 or before 2000, and I want to say it was shortly after Columbine or shortly before Columbine. Something happened that it literally tied into an event that we had just gone over in class,
Mhm.
and I incorporated that directly into my little report. And she was like, "How did you notice this? How did you draw this connection?" And I literally went right back to the textbook, showed her where it was, showed her the story from that particular date, and she was like, "Wow, I can't believe I noticed this." And I just gave her the quote: "The good student ensures his teacher is always learning."
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
and she was a genuinely awesome teacher. She's one of those people who, quite frankly, I wish we could clone her and send her to all of the different schools out there.
Here's something
Well,
else that even on my channel I've taught the men who's watching my stuff on my channel. When you do red pill content, when you start realizing a lot of this, you know, and you start doing it for yourself to teach other people, you have to learn to take criticism. You
oh
know,
yeah.
we live in a culture that does not know at all how to take criticism, and let alone they know the difference between constructive criticism and when someone's just being an out and out hateful asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But you have to understand that you, You got to understand to take it on the chin and keep going.
Right. Well, a
So
lot of I mean, even within our own small community here, we roast each other regularly.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
There
Mhm.
there are
Coming from the
constant.
roaster in chief.
Why does that make me your chief? Uh, but we all roast each other in many different ways. But the thing is we're basically kind of desensitizing our own people and our own group, so that way if somebody out there says something or does something that may damage the skin, so to speak, you're already calloused up from within your community.
Mhm.
Um,
In
we
some ways, it's a lot like a warrior
Well,
brotherhood.
yeah,
yes,
because
very
that's an
much.
incredibly masculine trait, is to be able to do that, be able to, what is it? We call it giving each other shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right,
It's
right.
not met with any malice.
No,
It points out maybe a deficiency you have,
Mhm.
or an embarrassing moment. But when somebody with malicious intent comes in and says the same thing, you're like, is that,
well,
can you try harder?
well, the thing is, if somebody tries to come into the community with malicious intent, and they try to bag on somebody about a sore spot, a weak spot, or something like that, all hell will break loose, and all the wagons will circle around. And that one person just made themselves stand out to a
Yeah.
lot of people who do not like them and do not trust them yet.
Well, and it's
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of like the concept of the neighborhood
Yeah.
mentality.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
I'm sure many of us have either been or either are in families where we have more than one sibling, or we've been around people that had more than one sibling. You and your
Yeah.
sibling will fight like cats and dogs about certain
Oh yeah.
things. But as soon as the neighbor kid comes up and starts trying to bag on your little sister or your little brother, the two of you
Oh,
gel
it's on.
together to bag on that
Mhm.
kid.
Oh yeah.
Somebody, somebody from the house up the street comes up and starts bagging on the neighbor kid. You or the
Mhm.
three of you start dogpiling, and it just moves
Oh
on
yeah.
and on outward.
Exactly.
Well, it's the mindset of protecting what's valuable, right?
Right.
These people who are self-aware enough to realize they make mistakes and they're trying to fix themselves. To me, that's a very valuable individual because you don't see that every day in our culture at all, hardly.
No,
Self-awareness and
we're
self-correction
all
is
mistake factories. It's going to keep
right.
happening over and over and over. It's just, do we learn from it or not?
Mhm.
Right. I mean, and I know you guys have heard me say it repeatedly that I'm wrong more times than I'm right. And you know, I like to crack little jokes every now and then, but 9 times out of 10, it's literally something just to make people break into crack and to get people to loosen up a little bit.
It, it's where gallows humor comes from.
Yeah, it's kind of that, like Pops talked about it, other people have talked about having that dark sense of humor that can get people out of their own head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason there's so many smart alecks in the military isn't because they disrespect the people in authority. Well, there are a few of those, but it's more because they see something about to happen. They know people are on the edge of just losing their cool over it, and they just make a comment, and everyone chuckles. It breaks the tension, and everyone can move
Right,
on to the bigger and better things.
right,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
I mean,
Was it Pop's little saying, someone's gonna die,
right,
in a
right,
briefing, or when they're all about to go into a jump?
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and it takes a special type of individual who can make a comment to break the mood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
and I would, I guess the best way to put that is I would kind of call it like a Deadpool mindset.
Yep.
Everybody's
Yeah.
thinking it, nobody wants to say it, but there's always someone who has to be that one guy in the group that says the comment everybody's thinking, but nobody has the balls to come out and say it
Mhm.
openly in public.
Well,
Mhm.
go back to last night, guys, talking about the submarine.
Mm-hmm.
And one of us made the example that you're not laughing at the fact people died. you're mocking the fact that this whole situation could have been avoided, and just the stupidity
Yep.
that ensued over these people's decisions. Obviously, you got to try to find the humor, because laughter, I think Calliope said it yesterday, laughter is the best medicine, in my opinion.
Oh, it is. It is.
Yep.
I mean, when you see somebody in excruciating pain from something and you can make them laugh and forget about it for a split second, it completely changes their life.
Oh, when I was training to be a medic, that's one of the things I always used to do when I was having to do clinical trainings. I'd go up to somebody who was supposed to be acting like they had a busted up leg.
Yeah.
I'd go up to him, do my little treatments, be talking to him to get the information, and then just throw a random thing in there going, well, you're going to be about 1 inch taller on one side now. Make sure you adapt
Right.
or get a pair of boots that adapt for that.
Yeah. I remember I was working in EMS, and we picked up a guy that wound up having a very bad cranial laceration, and his family was there, and everybody was all freaking out and panicking, and the ER doc we get everybody in, everybody's like, we're getting ready to leave, and the ER doc, I heard the ER doc say, all right, I'm not doing anything until someone can tell me a joke. And everybody froze.
Oh,
And it's like, look,
you guys started off right.
Right. I mean, come on. The dude had the wherewithal to like break the mood. And you always have to have somebody in a group that can do that and is willing to do that at a moment's notice.
Well, I think that's why every military unit has at least one smartass that no one really likes the guy, but they don't have the heart to get rid of him, because he or she is the icebreaker, is the person that gets them to realize, okay, yeah, it's bad, but it's not as bad as I think it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's kind of, I would say that what I'm noticing, because I've been around this whole mindset for close to 20 years now, and I've been around it about 12 to 13 or so. And now this community is now starting to grow and get bigger and bigger. And now I'm noticing I'm seeing more traits and trends in people that have that mindset and that ability. If you were to take 1 million people, and let's say there's 100,000 people that have that mindset with the dark humor, the gallows humor, that one person in that, that 100,000 people in that 1 million people that are willing to crack, the snide remark, the sick and twisted joke. And if you take
being on the gallows and you're looking at the guy next to you first time.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Someone that has that Deadpool mindset, and let's say in 1 million people, let's say there's 100,000. Let's say, a small percentage of them they have that sense of humor. Now, when you create a community, you find all these people and you start putting them together, which is what I'm noticing is very common within the Red Pill community. That's where you get a lot more of this, and that's probably the binding agent, so to speak. That's the one thing. It's like, oh, I know Sean has a sick and twisted sense of humor. I can say something, he's going to laugh. I know I can say something. I can say something that'll make Outlaw laugh. I know I can say something that'll make Mando laugh. I know I can say something that will make Rhino laugh. But you guys all know you can say something that'll make the rest of us laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And all have that mindset.
Well,
and that's
because living in
a binding agent.
Yeah, because living in a very unhilarious surroundings is kind of miserable.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And that's actually something I've said several times to people. When did we forget to laugh? When did we forget how to laugh?
I don't know. I would say around Gamergate.
Before that.
Mm-hmm.
People start
Outlaw,
taking,
you've been really quiet
serious.
on this. Do you have something you'd like to go ahead and add into this? Because we've probably been stepping all over you.
Oh, no. I'm enjoying the conversation, guys.
Awesome. Do you think we want to touch on where certain individuals go to a little bit of extremes on all three of these mindsets
Can
and end up
you
kind
can
of
you
damaging
repeat
the overall
that real
community, or do
quick?
we
Because
want to steer?
you broke at the beginning. You came in
Yeah.
broken.
Okay, sorry about that. Do we want to go ahead and touch on some of the more negative aspects of these communities and how they can actually damage the overall view
Hmm?
and how we
Well,
can kind of
Good.
push back on that?
Well, there's
yeah, we can.
no group that has 100% positives. You got to
No.
Exactly.
identify the negatives as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of extremists in the red pill community.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of people that takes it way too far, and I think it was Calliope a while ago made a comment similar to this. Uh, they do, in a sense, act sort of like feminist with their extremist behavior, and they take it way too far. Wanting to, okay, not only are we going to talk about women and female nature, but now we're going to openly mock them in public. We're going to call them bitches, whores. So you have people that'll take that red pill mindset way too far. Uh, you know, you've got to realize it's a balancing act. All you're doing is coming to the realization that these things are real and that they do happen. It's just like the blue pill people; they take it way too far. Black pill, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's
Well, with I would say with mindsets, look at it more as food and food for thought. If you eat nothing but red meat, you're going to have a dietary deficiency. If you eat,
Mhm.
nothing but vegetables, you're going to have a dietary deficiency. If you have a well-rounded diet, you're going to get everything that you need. So if you take one thing to an extreme or something else to an extreme, you're not going to have what you need to grow and to be the best version of you.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And yeah, everything with moderation.
right.
Hey, gentlemen, we have another individual who might be joining in for a couple of minutes. I won't say
Yeah,
the
I
name
saw that
until he
chatter.
eventually shows up, but
Yeah.
With the
I
blue
promise no
pill,
roasting.
say again.
with,
I said I
Say that
promise
again.
no roasting.
Well,
with
okay. This
Like I
stream has
believe
actually
that.
been a lot more serious than I really had hoped it would be. I was kind of hoping there would be a little bit of levity. That's why I invited
So you're,
Jimmy onto here.
so you're telling me I can roast?
oh no,
As long as it's YouTube friendly and it doesn't hack off the individual on the receiving end to the point that he wants to nuke all of us, I'm okay with it.
but some extremities in the red pill. You have these guys that they take all this way too far. One of them is, once you become exposed to MGTOW, some of these guys will be PUAs,
Yeah.
grifters,
Right.
the dating roaches. Then you got
Yeah.
the guys that, they learn the red pill, but now they're going to go back out and continue to bang women left and right and shit like that. And I've had people tell me, oh, outlaw, as long as I'm aware that the red pill's a thing, it's okay to go back and date, right? Well, that's not left up to me. That's your
That's up to
That's
them.
the
decision. But
individual.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would tell you that that's not exactly the tenets that MGTOW follows, but you're free to do what you want, and
Well,
same with the blue pill community. They're the same way. A lot of the
yeah.
extremities with them,
So
they want to shut down conversation when you try to tell them the truth, and they just want to keep living in fantasy land. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
then
so
your
I
They,
got a
they
black
want to
question
stay in
here
the
pillars,
for you,
matrix.
Outlaw.
then your black pillars will, unfortunately, some of them will take it to the extremes of offing themselves, which isn't good.
Yeah.
Your white pillars will typically live in la la land for the rest of their life, just hopelessly, hopeful, which is an oxymoron, hopelessly hopeful. But
It's like they're
yeah, I
on
mean,
shrooms all day, every day.
Yeah.
exactly. I
It's the
look at each
concept of the
pill.
hopeless romantic.
I
Yeah.
look at each
Ah,
pill.
yeah.
I look at each pill like it's on a line, like a spectrum. You have one far end of the white pill, and then the other end of the white pill. Same with red, blue, black, whatever color. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you
I'd say
have to
the
find
red
the
pill and
balance.
the blue
Yeah.
pill, the red pill and
That,
blue
that,
pill fall into the gray area.
yeah,
Yep.
that's why we're not touching on the purple pill, the white pill, and all these other things, because
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
the way I've always understood it, it is a spectrum. You start at one
Yeah.
end and you can move all the way to the other end. Just like
Mhm.
if
Yep.
you look at the light spectrum in a science class.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I want your opinion on something.
Okay.
Being somebody who's been in this community for a while, I see
Mhm.
more of the red pill community being more of the people who don't want to participate in society, want to be the leave no trace type of people. You know,
Mhm.
what do you think about something like that?
You talking about the people who don't want to leave a trace? I'm trying to understand.
Like the leave no trace hikers, the people who go out and do stuff like that where, you know, they've been there, they've seen it, but they don't want to leave any evidence of them being there.
Are you talking like a Ted
Um,
Kaczynski type or a Kaczynski type minus,
No,
the not bombing?
you're
no,
talking
no. I'm
about
talking
you're talking about the people who wants to leave as little of a trace of themselves while they were here as
exactly.
possible.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sean, more along the lines of like your Cav scouts, your artillery scouts, your FOs, your people who want to go out there, watch things, see things. They've been there, but they want to leave
Oh,
and leave no trace that
they
they've
don't want to
ever.
participate.
Yeah.
The gray man, basically.
I
Okay.
Right.
would
I think
say
I understand now.
I would say that comes down to what an individual wants out of life. I've been thinking for a long time about having a stream about uh, red pill men. It's time to evaluate what you actually want out of life, because I still see a lot. Like I said a while ago, I still see a lot of men in this community who still wrestle with, well, what do we do if we can't look at women anymore? We can't date them. And a lot of them will just be like, oh, fuck it. As long as I know the red pill, we're going to keep going out with women. I think it comes down to what the individual man wants with the red pill.
Okay.
If you are fine with the fact of living the rest of your days, not carrying on your seed, you just want to be like an observer in life and just, kind of watch people from behind the scenes and then check out, you know, like I said, that's their choice. But I'm afraid there's some people here that haven't come to that realization yet of what they actually want. They've learned enough about the red pill to know to think certain ways about things,
Yeah.
like with women in relationships, but they haven't really answered that life altering question. What do I want out of life? Do I want to
Hmm.
leave a legacy? Do I want children, or do I just want to check out and my time will end and see you?
Yeah.
I think it's a
Well,
question that everybody has to answer for themselves.
I
Well,
know I've
and
answered
I'd
that a
say,
couple of times on our stream saying, I'm not finished with relationships, not finished with trying to have more kids later. Um, but now that I'm red pill aware, it has made my approach far more cautious, far more calculated, which is
Mhm.
why I'm trying to do things to, what is it? Make myself look higher value
yeah.
because,
Mhm.
I'm a rotund dude. I'm going to take care of that eventually. But I'm trying to do things like get my money straight first
Yeah.
and try to become more financially secure that I don't have to worry about a 9 to 5 being my only
Yeah.
source of income,
Yeah.
because that
Mhm.
allows me to um, provide for a family far better in the future.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm shit at game, so I'll have to probably buy Rollo's book and learn about that.
Well,
it's not as complicated as you may think it is. Um, I've helped a few other people in our community and spoken with them recently, and they're like, "Dude, I can't believe how right you were about it." And it's not tough
Mm.
to do.
Mhm.
I mean, I'll admit I've been a part of this community for probably close to 20 years. Um, and I've seen the good, I've seen the bad, I've seen the ugly of all of it. However, most people would look at a guy like me and say, confirmed bachelor, dude's never going to be married, never going to be in a relationship, never going to be in a committed situation like that. And I wouldn't say that never, because it's definitive language. However, as we all can agree, anything manufactured, at least 10% of it is defective right out of the gate. So that's already, 10% of the women right out of the gate, there's already something wrong with them. While the other ones, the more you work with them, the more you be around them, the more you have experiences with them, you'll realize that not every tool is the right tool for the job, so to speak. And that narrows down that pool of individuals that might be right down to 5%, 2.5%, 1%. But you need to figure that out for you. You can't use definitive language and say all of them are worthless. Because
no, they're not.
That's a dangerous road to travel.
I think that's where we get into the assholes of our community that start to solidify that mindset.
And that also gets into the extremists on all ends of the spectrum.
Right.
See, I had a stream here months ago about this very topic, about the differences between Red Pill and MGTOW. And I think Red Pill Rhino was over there watching. This is what people have to understand about this whole Red Pill and MGTOW conversation. Red Pill is simply the state of self-awareness about most all things that you can find truth about it that people don't tell you. MGTOW has always been, in my opinion, the next step. It's a lifestyle choice that the Red Pill provides you, with information, knowledge, wisdom. MGTOW is not something for every person in the Red Pill community. This is a personal choice that men have to make for themselves if they want to not be around dating women and being used for the rest of their lives. But I see a lot of people tripping over the simplicity of the Red Pill versus MGTOW and trying to, jumble up the two ideologies. And, so you have to understand that red pilling comes, this is the way I see it anyway. Feel free to correct me. I see red pill as the first step. It's what you have happen to you first, and then MGTOW is the lifestyle choice that comes after, in response of the red pill.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one option because you can stay red pill and do what I'm doing, trying to pursue relationships later on when I get my ducks in a row. But those who want to check out of the dating game because they understand the risk is very high for men to get screwed over. That's where I think you're right. That is an inevitable next stepping stone for a certain group, not a certain group, but like a certain section of red pill.
Yeah. Well, there's another way, another analogy we can use to look at it. It's like you're looking at an all-you-can-eat buffet. You have dietary restrictions, things you're allergic to. If you go near certain things, you're going to have a reaction and a response to it. So you just eliminate those foods from your diet. Now, I would say when you go more towards the men going their own way aspect of things, a lot of those guys have realized that 80, 90, 8 or 9 out of 10 of the women that are out there, they're allergic to, so to speak. They know that they aren't going to work, but there's still 10 or 20% or 5% out there that they're still willing to interact and to work with and to entertain a friendship or relationship with. There is, like we talked about before, a gray area within that. It's just not as large as what other people may be thinking.
Yeah, I think I can agree with pretty much everything you all have said on there. We're hitting about the hour and a half mark. I think we've pretty much covered all the terrain that we really intended to cover on this opening stream, unless there's something on this topic that you all think we've missed that would be beneficial to go over.
No, I think we've covered it.
I think we've got it all.
One.
Okay. I mean, maybe the negative aspects a little further, but I don't know if there's much more we could go into it that we already covered. We just covered it briefly. That's why I'm saying it.
Mhm.
Now, is there a specific negative that you would like to go ahead and touch on?
Well, I'm not sure if there's another one. That's why I'm asking, because
'Cause I
there
really
are the
can't think of it.
extremists in the community, yes, but
Mhm.
I'm sure we can all think of how many negatives there are to being blue pilled or staying in the blue pill, even though you're aware that that's not the best place for you to be, or maybe
Well,
you are self-aware now, but you don't like being self-aware. You're like that dude that betrayed
Cypher.
everybody in the Matrix. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
well,
want my steak. I'm aware of everything. I want to go back to ignorant bliss.
Yeah.
some other examples in the red pill extremism. You've got conspiracy theories that may not have any truth in basis. People that get carried away with, thinking that men hate women in this community, and then they fall into that trap of, oh, well, all women are just evil pieces of shit, and we don't need to be around them guys. That's another example of extremism in the red pill community
Yeah.
that
Actually,
I don't really see a lot of people, touch on.
let's touch on something relating to that real quick.
Okay.
How do those of us, in you all's opinion, how do those of us that are in the red pill, whether it be leaning towards the purple with your more or you're slightly more blue pilled, or you're slightly closer to the black pill because you're more nihilistic, how do you one draw people back to a center in your opinion, and how do you counter the negative stereotypes that many people have for the red pill community?
I think that first one is going to be tough to answer.
Yeah.
The second one, not so much, because I mean, like we were saying, red pill is kind of like a self awareness. And if
Yeah.
people are coming to you saying, well, these red people, they say this and that, we can explain to them, um, they're, while they have red pill points, where they inevitably lead to is you outlined that they're an extremist side, but not one that is exactly well liked or well tolerated by
Well,
probably the majority of those who claim to be in the red pill space.
Well, I guess the easiest way to look at that would be, ask these people who claim that the red pill community is all women hating, all this, all that. They want to focus on one extreme aspect of it. Notify them, ask them, are you aware of other social groups, other groups of individuals that have extremist aspects in it? Are you
yeah.
willing to admit that you know of other groups that are an extremist one way or another? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Much like any other group, within this group, there are extremists, there are outliers. There's a bell curve in every social gathering. They're going to have outliers to the left, outliers to the right.
Mhm.
And like we all know, when you have one outlier, you have that one Karen in a community. So does that mean every person that you see looks similar to her? Everyone is a Karen? No.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you need to understand you can't judge the old phrase, you can't judge a book by its cover. You got to look at what's written on the pages on the inside. You
Yep.
can't pigeonhole and denigrate and criticize an entire community. It's like, okay, if it's okay for you to uh, associate guys, I don't want to mention his name, but there's a few people in the quote unquote red pill community that are firebrands. If it's okay for you to link that one man to everybody in the red pill community, okay,
Mhm.
that's fine. If you can do that, and if you are comfortable doing that, then it's okay for someone like me to say, oh, you're part of X group that supports the believe all women aspect, even though there's Mattress Girl. There you have all these different women that have been proven wrong, that have lied in a community. So what you're telling me is your community is full of liars that are looking for attention. Making a sweeping generalization on a community, these are the things that will ruin society and close people's minds. There are
It-
extremists on all ends.
it's
So
the
like
line from one of the Star Wars.
stereotyping.
Yeah.
It's the same as the
Sorry.
line from one of the Star Wars movies. Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Mm.
Yes.
Well,
But
one popular trope that's always been popular with MGTOW is, you guys are just a bunch of women haters. What separates you from, the feminists who are men haters? You have
I've
to
heard that.
understand.
Quite a bit.
You have to understand that men here who are genuine, worth their weight in salt, that's going to tell you the truth, do not hate women. This is not a woman hating club. We don't fault all women for the sins of the one or two that did us wrong. I made a video about this last year, as a matter of fact. The people that did me wrong in my life, I hold the sins to their feet. I don't hold all women to the account of what that one or two women did to me, my brother, my family.
Agreed.
And this is the difference between separating MGTOW and the men here worth their weight in salt versus just another bunch of misogynists and women haters. You don't punish women, all women, for what few women did. What you do is you take the mindset. Here's the difference. You take the mindset that women could possibly do what these women did because of the laws that are in their favor. Now, obviously, you treat all women on an individual basis like you do men, obviously. But you take that chance to protect yourself. This is what it is. You protect yourself. You preserve yourself with knowledge, information, and wisdom by protecting yourself from the possibilities that women could do this to you, just like those one or two did. It's not that they will, and they most likely won't, because you don't give them the chance, or they may not anyway. But you have to do it because you care about yourself enough to preserve your life for future endeavors.
Outlaw, I wish I had the Thug Life graphic and sound effect right now, and I also wish I had the capability of clipping out segments of these videos. That would have made a perfect short to be a promo for this as a later playback.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You definitely hit the nail on the head, that's for sure.
And look, gentlemen, this is why we can get along with Calliope. This is why we can get along with Soldier Girl or any of these other women that come here. You don't hate these women because they're women. All you're doing is simply protecting yourself from the possibility that these laws could come back on to you. That's it.
Yep.
I mean,
okay.
You're right. Go ahead, man.
I'm just going to point this out real quick, and I'm not going to bring religion into this overly much. A lot of you who know me know I'm a Christian. And I welcome Rhino. Give me a second to finish my thought, and you can jump in, okay?
Hello. All right.
Hey, bro.
A lot of people think when it comes to Christianity and our dislike of a certain community out in the wider world, that we hate the individuals. We don't dislike the individual. We dislike the lifestyle that they live.
Right.
Yeah.
And we repudiate the lifestyle, not the person.
You have to be able to separate the ideology from the individual. And I've also talked about that in my videos. If you can learn to separate people from their ideas and treat the idea as the enemy and not the person, that's what you're attacking. You're not attacking the individual because they're this or that. You're attacking the ideology that's leading these individuals to do these harmful acts to other people in society.
Exactly.
I think that's a good approach moving forward, is to not ignore the individual, but don't aim your points, or maybe if there's a hint of malice, aim it at the idea that's bad, not at the person.
Okay, so Rhino, your late arrival. You have a point you want to make real quick?
Oh no, well, I mean, well, yes. So it's your first official live stream, yeah?
Yeah, it is.
So I mean, I've had a week. You already know that. So I decided for my day off, I was going to go to the Renaissance Festival, and so I did. And since this is your first stream, and since you mentioned Christianity, I just have to point this out. I got this big old. So I'm here to raid your stream. Let's see if I can do it. Let's see if I can do it live. Oh, nope, not yet.
It works, man.
There you go. So I'm officially on a raid against your Christian stream here. It doubles as a drinking device as well, so that's nice.
I kind of figured.
Now I'll
Yep.
pose another question to you, Mando, or Crusader Nate, George, any of you guys here. This is the one that I've struggled with. Okay, so we know that the LGBT, we know that the trans people, the problem is they make this entire ideology, they get behind their entire existence, their being. That's the problem. How do you separate these people from these ideologies that they've made and fused into their lives as their identities?
I can tell you how I approach that, but that's not the way everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
My approach is I'm friendly with the individual, even when they've been kind of a jerk to me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same token, I don't get judgmental with them, and I do everything I can to show them that, yeah, hey, I may not agree with the way you live your life, but that doesn't mean I dislike you.
Right.
It's only until they start doing something that attacks me personally in a way that actually could cause me physical or emotional harm that I actually strike back at someone. Most of the time, it's just one of these things where, like, okay, you believe this, go ahead, do your thing.
Right. Well, that's kind of a difficult situation to be in. I mean, I do have friends that are part of the alphabet communities and other things. And yeah, I've had those awkward and difficult conversations with them. And a lot of the times they'll say, okay, you want to live your life. You want to have your things, your point of view, your perspective. You want to be authentically you. Now, I am going to accept you for who you are. And in return for my acceptance of you being you, you accept me for who I am. As long as we agree that we both live different lives, we're both different people, I accept you for who you are and what you do. You accept me for who I am and what I do. And if you are uncomfortable with accepting me for me, but you want me to accept you for you, it's time that you actually seriously go and do some thinking and learning to deal with yourself and accepting yourself for who you are first, and not look for validation from other people while you're trying to validate your own existence in your own mind.
So, all right. I was going to say something funny, but this is a serious stream, so I'll leave it at that.
No,
Well, say something funny.
I was just going to say, what about the Brontosaurus? And we talk about situations like.
Okay.
All right.
I am going to do a paleontology stream at some point in the future that I do want to have you and Outlaw on, just so that way we can set up a cage match to end this debate once and for all.
Well, I just want to go. Yeah, go ahead.
We might have to have Crusader there as a referee to make sure no one gets permanently damaged.
Well, that's fine. But I do want to go officially on the record and say, hey, Rhino, no hard feelings about what I said in Pop Stream the other day.
I don't even remember what you said. What did you say?
I know Sean's still laughing about it.
What did you say?
You missed it?
I don't remember the exact words, but it was like a damn.
Yeah, even the captain thought I was roasting you, so Pop thought it was savage. Well,
Wow.
I just said that women need to understand that 40 to 80 is a long time, but once they pass 80, they got to learn to take a number before you date them.
Golly.
Wow. Why did I show up tonight?
Would you expect me to say anything less?
No.
A little bit of levity, a little bit of laughter.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, Rhino, I gave everyone else a chance to give their journey to this point when it comes to red
Oh,
pill,
no.
black pill, blue pill.
Yeah.
So, would you like to give a cliff notes on your journey to the stage you're at when it comes to this thought process?
I could, but you're going to have to give me just a few seconds because I'm in the middle of uncluster fucking my life. But yeah, I could tell you guys a little bit of a story here. I suppose we could do story time. Yeah. Here, let me step outside so I can get into this. Got the dogs barking and screaming at me. There we go. Okay. So I didn't catch some of the earlier stream because I was still driving back. There I am. But you guys are talking about what, your red pill journey, essentially?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, I'll give you the short version because the long version I've talked to Crusader and Jimmy and Blake about offline. It's kind of a terrible story,
Well,
to be
that's
honest.
why I just asked for the cliff notes.
Yeah. So essentially, I had been listening to Tom Likas since, I don't know, maybe 2016, somewhere around there, maybe earlier than that. I'm not sure. But I listened to him, but I didn't hear him. I'm sure you all know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
It sounds right, but I can find a way, which we talk about purple pill and why I think that doesn't work ever. Because you get in the mindset of, well, I have red pill knowledge now, but I'm gonna still play blue pill and it'll all work out. It never does. So my story, I dated. Oh, dude, if I told you, I'll tell you. I dated a single mom. I did the worst you could do. I dated a single mom that was expecting.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we dated for a couple years. Obviously, she had twins and she already had a daughter before. So a couple different baby daddies there. But she was the type that, and I'm not giving her credit, I'm telling you how men get trapped in this. She was the type where if you were stuck in a blizzard, she would come and, help you out. And I drove into a tree branch like a dumbass one time. These were country roads, so it was really easy to slide in the ice. And she offered to help me pay for the glass to repair it. When a woman comes along like that, you're like, well, shit. Somebody actually thinks I'm special. So I ended up dating her. And long story short, this is the first of two mistakes I made. This one should have red pilled me. Like, this was the big suppository, but I wanted to go back for seconds. Essentially, she had some issues came up involving the children and CPS and the whole thing. And because I was living in the same home, I wound up under the magnifying glass, kind of fucked up my life for a while. And we ended up splitting ways. But I'll tell you that the screwed up thing is when CPS got involved, her kids ended up going to her mom for a while. And what she does the next day blew my mind. She went and did a lingerie photo shoot without my knowledge, without anybody's knowledge, after she loses her kids. I'm like,
Wow.
holy shit.
Ooh.
So that's the concerned, caring mother story. And I haven't actually told the story on my own channel, but it wound up with some legal trouble. And at the time, I couldn't afford what's called a real attorney, so I had to get a public pretender. And they said we could impeach her on the stand and so forth and so on. And essentially, I ended up taking a deal, which is why I tell that guy that's on Pop's show, absolutely never take a deal. Because what they'll do is they'll scare you. They'll stack charges. They'll do everything they can to put you in a position where you think there's a no-win situation, even if you know you can win. And they'll scare you into taking that plea. The public defender said like 90% cases end up that way. So I ended up doing that. And went through all that, and that was fine. It sucked, but got through it and moved on. And then I dated a woman a few years later, also a single mother. I don't learn my lesson very well. And I fell in love with her and her daughter and was really close. The problem is she was like an obvious alcoholic. I'm talking like bad. I remember one time I went over to her house to hang out. This is like the early dating stages. And she passed out. Like, I'm not sure if she's okay, and I had to go. And so I called her mom. I'm like, hey, her daughter's here, and she's passed out on the couch, and I don't know, but I think you need to help your daughter out because something ain't right here. Your granddaughter's here, and this doesn't look good. And I can't stay. I have shit to do. I ended up dating her for like 3 years, and she had dated some dudes in the past, one of which was also an alcoholic. Anyway, I'm fast forwarding through the story. When she wasn't drinking, and she quit drinking for like 8 months during our relationship, probably best time in our relationship, I helped her start a business, which was federal insurance retirement benefits. So it was a good business. I was doing the website development. I did sales, stuff like that, and she was the actual insured agent. I helped her pass those tests. I had a buddy of mine that did it. And in the end, we went and did an event together. Some of you know that I do costuming. So we went up and helped a buddy do a charity event to raise some money. Can't remember what the event was raising money for, but it was some charity thing, Star Wars costuming. Anyway, on the way back, she says, well, I haven't had a drink in a long time, and I think I've grown as a person, which is, uh-huh. And I'm like, listen, you make me so uncomfortable when you're drinking that I don't feel comfortable around you at all. Like, she's done crazy stuff, like try to jump out of windows and, anything you can imagine, nightmare fuel related to an alcoholic. So she was just like straight up a demon when she drank, man. So anyway, I was like, I'm not comfortable with that. And if you feel that you need to go back to alcohol after this many months of you being off of it, it's kind of between me, you, and the alcohol. And if you're going to choose the alcohol, then it's not going to be me. So she chose the alcohol. Didn't know it at first. She, what was it? Like, I don't remember, like a weekend or something when we had this argument, and we ended up not getting alcohol for that reason. And she's very quiet the rest of the week. She was on her phone a lot, really distant. Turns out this whole time she was talking to her twice divorced ex, alcoholic as well. And on Thursday, she went down to drop off her kids with her baby daddy or whatever, and she never came back upstairs. Okay. She basically gave me the ultimatum that we're done and pack your shit and we're over. So I was like, okay. So, I get all my shit out, and that was the end of it. And then 3 months later, she's married to this dude. And a couple months after that, she's knocked up. And I thought this was going to be the one, the marriage, the kids, the white picket fence. So that was finally when the suppository got firmly planted up my ass. So there's my story. You heard it here first. There you go.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And that is that's a harsh one.
That's a rough one.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I just want to throw something out there, Mando, if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
How about those that are watching or those that watch in the future, if you guys have any questions or you want us to address or cover something, put it in a comment so that way we would know what the audience would like to see addressed and discussed with the panel.
Thank you for bringing that up. While I bring in the last member of our panel, the last late arrival to our panel.
Jekyll.
Hey,
Some dead
Jackal,
kid?
welcome to the show. In the description box of this video, somewhere down in the bottom there should be an email for this channel specifically. Any guests, comment or viewers, content, any of you who see this in the future, feel free to shoot it any emails, questions, or whatever. Sorry, to this and to that email, and we will address it at some point in the future. With this channel, there's going to be a wide range of things I cover. Some of it's going to be serious, some of it's going to be silly. And I want everyone to feel like they're getting something out of this. I'm not expecting any money from you guys. I don't want any money from you guys.
Give him all your money.
I have no money left. I spent it all on Legos.
What I am going to say is, if you think the kind of content that we're trying to put out here is valuable, go to, I'm just going to do it this way. Go to this gentleman's channel and donate to him. Go to Terrence Pop. Go to Hammerhand. Those are 3 individuals that are very, very established and very good at what they do. I'm doing this as a hobby and as kind of a fill-in while Jimmy Bones gets his head on straight.
He's giving me way too much credit. Don't believe a word he says.
MM43, I will respond to that here in a moment. Jackal, would you like to give an opening or a set of opening comments and a little bit of a cliff notes on your red pill story?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Nah. All right. Bummer.
That's fair. All right. Well, MM43 has asked for some military stories.
Oh.
We've got plenty of veterans in our group, Ungilded, and I'm thinking sometime in the not so distant future we might do a stream where it's just us green and blue suitors telling some of our effed up but funny YouTube friendly stories.
Wait. There's such a thing as YouTube friendly military stories?
You have to clean up the language.
He's not monetized. He can say whatever he wants for now.
You have to clean up the language so you don't get zapped. But yeah.
Yeah.
Are you telling me to behave?
It'd be nice, but
I'm trying.
Be nice.
It'd be nice, but given some of the stuff I've said on your stream, I can't exactly make that statement to
you. You've been generous on my show, so.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate fact of the matter is we have reached the hour and 10-minute mark. I had only intended to go for about 2 hours. So, Jackal, if you have any red, blue, or black pill thoughts that you would like to go ahead and bring in, now's your chance to do it.
Nope.
Oh, alrighty then.
All right.
So
keep it sweet and simple.
Classic Jackal.
Everyone who would like to give a final couple of sentences, couple final thoughts on the topic we've covered or on anything else that you would like to have people think about moving forward, I'm going to go ahead and go round table and give everyone a shot. We're going to start with the first one I brought on this evening. Or at least I think he was the first one. MGTOW Outlaw.
The squirrel.
I'd like to thank Mando for this. This has been, very fun, very educational. As with everything else in life, the red, the blue, the black pill, take it with a grain of salt. Ultimately, this journey is up to you and the choices that you make in life. The red pill, the blue pill, the black pill, these are all simply, ideologies, mindsets that people find themselves in, philosophies. For whatever reason or another that they come to in life. It's a balance. It's a balancing act. Nobody gets out of this thing alive. So figure out what it is that you want to do with your life. Go full steam ahead. And as long as it's not hurting anybody else, animals, whatever, full steam ahead, man. And thanks, Mando. Look forward to the next stream you have like this, brother.
Awesome. Okay, Crusader Nate.
Well, thanks for the invite. Thanks for the opportunity to become a part of the live stream that you guys do. I greatly appreciate it. Just want to put a word out there of we're all pretty much the same. None of us are no better, no worse, no smarter, no dumber than the rest. We all have different levels of learning, and we're all at different stages. So don't compare yourself to others because you're not like anybody else. You're you. Do what works for you. Make yourself happy and live your life. Go your way. Do your thing. You don't have to do what everybody else does. If everybody was the same, life would be boring. So live it up, be you, do your own thing. And thanks for having the opportunity to be a part of this, guys. I really appreciate that. For all my ramblings that I do that are probably completely incoherent, and you guys probably think I'm insane and keep inviting me back.
Okay, Sean St. George, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to bring up?
Just maybe use the red pill as I have been trying to use it as the guide on how to navigate the world now that the veil has been lifted from my eyes. So things that we talk about, things that we address, kind of like what Nate said, I think either in his last statement or earlier, not everything we recommend or we talk about will work out for you. Find what works for you. Just don't try to go back to the blue pill. Don't try to go back to ignorance is bliss, because as much as it sucks to be aware and mentally frustrating, I would not want to go back to being blissfully ignorant just to eventually go back into red pill again with another awakening and maybe an even bigger rage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Rhino, you're the next one on the Price is Right.
Well,
Where'd I go?
Oh,
I'm still there. You pressed the wrong
next one on
button.
Price
You got to
is
press the right
if
button.
Can
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. I'd tell you this. This is I don't really get sentimental on my own show, but I guess I'll do a little bit of it here. I've been blue pill, as blue as you can be. I tried purple pill to no avail. I did red pill, but I feel like there's no right way to do it, but I feel like I may have taken the best approach you could have. I listen to a lot of pop. I listened to, I downloaded some audiobooks. I listened to the Rational Male series, Coach Greg Adams, Aaron Clary, and I kind of spent like every day for, 3 years just ingesting the material and really learning it. I guess what I'll tell you from my experience, blue pill seems like a great way to go. And maybe in a world that we no longer live in, it would have worked out. Unfortunately, that's not the reality now. I'm going to give you some cautions, I guess. With the red pill does come some rage. And at first, a lot of rage. If not downright misogyny, But once you get past that, and it takes years, and you might even think you're past it, and you still, your brothers might check you and go, hey, look, you're still kind of being kind of a dick. You hear a lot of red pill guys say, we don't hate women, we love women, or we wouldn't talk about this shit. Once you get to that point, then I think you're getting to the healing point. What I would caution you on is absolutely unequivocally stay out of the black pill. It's nihilistic. It's self-defeating. It's very defeatist. It doesn't lead anywhere good. It really doesn't. The world sucks, so fuck it. Like, that's not the way to live. Like, look, man, I got 15 grand, maybe 20 grand in car repairs right now, and I'm still enjoying my day. There's no reason to be nihilistic about anything, especially not dating relationships. There's always, a chance. And I'm not telling you to go get married and bells and whistles and all that, but don't go down that dark road, that black pill. And as far as purple pill, I don't recommend that either. You can't really play in both worlds. Once you're red pill aware, you can't go back in the matrix and pretend to eat the steak again. It doesn't taste right. It'll never taste right again. And if anything, it's going to make that red pill rage worse once you figure out that it's bullshit. So This is a path I would tell you. I'm never going to have all the answers. I don't think any man on this panel or any man in this space is going to have all the answers. I think we're all learning and growing every single day. But I would say take time, take care of yourself, and be easy on yourself. A lot of guys never hear that. It's just man up. No, take some time and be easy on yourself, because the world certainly isn't. So I guess that's it. That's my final thoughts, guys.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Jackal, do you have anything you would like to say to add to the conclusion of this stream?
Yeah, at the very end when I show up. Isn't that nice? Disregard all of the pills, because it is just another way of conveying a different mindset. Just focus on fixing what is broken about yourself. We are like iron, and we have to be tempered to become stronger. So, if there are any chinks in that ingot of iron, fix it. Find what's wrong with you, fix it. Don't bother with anyone else, because if you can't take care of yourself or even manage yourself, then you have no place to be trying to involve yourself with other people, especially if you're planning on bringing them into your life. Just focus on what keeps you happy, what makes your lifestyle agreeable at the very minimum. Worry about yourself. Don't worry about other people. It's just fuck everything else. Deal with yourself. Build yourself up to where you feel comfortable. Just goes back to the old saying, be yourself. Don't be this facade that you try to put over yourself by trying to strive for things that you don't really need. Try to establish needs and wants. What's a need? What is something that is rudimentary to your survival, to your well-being? And what's a want? What's something that makes you feel all tingly inside, but you can live without it, and it's probably in your best interest? That's what a lot of men do not take into account. What's in your best interest? Not in somebody else's, but yours. Because at the end of the day, no one knows you better than you, and no one can pull you out of the fire but you. That's it.
Very good final thoughts there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
I couldn't have said it better myself.
to go ahead and close this out, I am going to go ahead and reiterate in the description box down below this video, in what Blake and Pop like to refer to as the Meat Gazer box, there's an email specifically for this channel. If you're not ungilded and you're not someone who likes to comment openly where people can see it, feel free to send an email with suggestions, comments, concerns for future videos. I plan to do streams moving forward on things that are silly, on conspiracy theory type stuff, and also some more serious, hopefully self-improvement type stuff like this. When I have panels on, which is going to be most of the time, because I don't think any of you want to just hear me jaw jack for an hour and a half to 2 hours, it's going to be people that I think will actually have some value added content for that particular stream. Either a different point of view on it, or a highly educated outlook from experience on it, or just something where they're at a life stage where they might be impacted differently than the rest of us.
Yep.
So my absolute final thought on this: the different the red, black, and blue pill philosophies, they're tools. You can use them. You can leave them in the toolbox. If you do use them responsibly. It's on you. Every one of us here is going to have a different way of looking at a problem, and every one of us here is going to have a different tool set in our toolbox to deal with said problem. I hope you all have a nice day, and in about 2 weeks, I plan to do another stream like this. It's going to definitely be something a little less super serious and a little bit more on the conspiracy theory, maybe a little silly side. So be on the lookout for that, and I will see you all when I see you all. Have a good one.